So good evening, Parvati. How are you?
I am fine, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you for asking. So can you tell us something about yourself?
I am Parvati. I am having 3+ years of experience in the IT industry, and I am working in Wipro Technologies. And my client is Citibank. I work as a QA engineer from past 2 years, and I am into automation from last 1 year. My major roles and responsibilities in my project are I am into all the testing activities where we do test plan, test strategies, sprint calls, everything. And I am only involved in changing the manual test cases into automation test cases. Libraries, everything are already existing and designed by the senior managers, senior test leads. The tools and softwares which I am aware of are I am we use test management tool like Cypher and Jira, where we upload the test cases and execute them. And I am having a little exposure of Selenium and programming language like Python. That's it.
Okay, great. So thank you for the introduction. So you were telling about automation thing. So what is keyword-driven testing?
Keyword driven testing is basically dependent upon the keywords which we are using in the specific application or the software which we are testing it. For example, if we take a login page, we have to take the keywords for each and every functionality which we want to test. Like if we have to open the URL, we have to use a keyword like open URL, launch the page and click the button like submit button, and we have username box and password box. So we have to use those keywords like get username or ID is equal to username, and we have to give the value, and we'll keep that all the keywords in an Excel sheet with all the columns required.
Right. So basically, keyword-driven testing is a scripting testing technique that uses data files, you can say, to contain the keywords related to the application under automation or under testing. Okay. Now these keywords, as you were telling about username, password, so they'll describe the set of actions that is required to perform a specific step. Now, what is the advantage of keyword-driven testing? Why do software testers go for this kind of automation?
Keyword The advantages of keyword driven testing is we can we can take the test data into we can divide it into small parts, and we can take the keywords for each and every functionality and give the actions to it.
Mhm.
So that is why we will mostly prefer keyword driven data, because we can give values, locators, and everything, dividing the whole task into a small pieces of functionality.
True. And apart from that, you can add this two advantages as well, that it can be developed without any support of programming language. Okay, so it is not dependent on a specific programming language or any tool, and it is compatible also with any kind of automation tools available in the market. This kind of thing,
Okay.
right? Okay, great. So now let's take one example. Yesterday you were using Amazon.com at this particular time, 7:10 p.m. It was Saturday, and there were 300 users apart from you who were surfing Amazon.com. Everything was working absolutely fine. You were able to search the product, you were able to add them to the cart, then you were able to navigate to the payment gateway page, do the payment, log in, log out. Everything was working absolutely fine. Everything was smooth. Now today, all of a sudden, the site has got slow. So whenever you are trying to access any of the page or any of the feature, it is taking longer duration, longer time in accessing and opening those web pages. So your QA manager calls you, or your lead calls you, they tell that, Parvati, can you help us to do the root cause analysis for this particular application? So what would be your approach? How will you start?
Okay, in such type of scenarios, the first thing which a QA will be testing uh, is the load exceeded? Like, is there more traffic onto the site at a time? So that may be one reason. Another reason might be a code breakage. Like, in the existing code, there may be a breakage of the flow, so it might get l- reduced. The fastness may be reduced. And the third thing may be like, if the particular system, or like if the stakeholders are working on it, or if I am particularly using Amazon site, and if my system is having any personal problems, like if I am opening multiple browsers at a time, and uh, the data which is taking the internet may be slow. These may be the conditions for this such type of scenarios. Like, basically we go into these type of reasons.
Okay. Okay. So this is fine. So apart from this, what you can add is you will, whenever root cause analysis term comes up into the interview, so you can tell that I will refer the logs file. So logs are actually created whenever you do anything on some particular application or some particular website is there at the backend, at some particular temp folder or some folder, the logs would be getting created. So you can go through those log files if any exceptions are coming in those files. One more reason can be that yesterday you were using on Mozilla Firefox browser. Today you are using it on Google Chrome browser. Okay, that can be one of the reason that browser got changed. I didn't mention about that thing in the scenario. Then
Oh,
another aspect can be that the Google Chrome browser yesterday, for example, was 72.00 version. And at night, yesterday night, it got updated to 72.1 version, which is not compatible with the website that got deployed by the development team because they were not aware about the new version update of the browser. And there are chances that the version updates of the browser might break down the application. Then
oh,
one more reason over here can be, let's say if it's an some kind of Diwali or some big festival is going on, and it's a sale from Amazon or some these e-commerce websites is also there, and then they have taken a decision to launch or to sell some product on this using this website. They have got the images, but those images are of very high resolution PNG types images, which are taking too much time in loading the application, and that is why the whole website has got slow. Okay, this can be the possible reasons. Okay, now consider a situation where you are working in one particular team. You are working in some on some application or on some product. That product went live, and now the customer is using it into their production environment. So in your development environment, the application or the web application was working absolutely fine. In the production environment, they are facing some issues. So what can be the possible reasons behind that?
uh, Possible reasons, first of all, when we face such type of issues, we will try to reproduce the problem which the clients are facing in the production environment in the lower environments, like user UAT or SIT something. We'll reproduce the same defect, and there we will see the root cause. For example, in development environment, there's some everything is working fine and there's no issue with the data which the client wants. But in production environment, they are facing some mismatching in the calculations or something. At that case, we will change the data in the lower environments based on the bug which they are telling us, and we will see what might be the cause. It may be a deployment issue, like the proper deployment might be not done in the production environment. The second thing may be the database. Production database is not being updated properly after each and every run. These might be the two possible major reasons for production defects.
Right, right. So very true. These can be few of the reasons. So that's a good answer. Okay. Okay. So in your CV, you have mentioned about invoice automation, API, Python, Postman. So Postman tool you were using for testing the API used in the automation.
Uh, yeah, that was my personal project, which I have done out of curiosity, watching YouTube videos, and to have an exposure on API testing and Postman tool, I have learned it using like watching YouTube videos, and I have automated those invoices. The main reason which I have done that is um, I have worked on a manual testing project where we have to check the invoices in UI as well as the database. So that takes so much of time for us, and that is also like the records are so much, and we have deadlines. So I thought of creating an invoice generator using Python, so that it would help me in the project. But uh, that is what I have done, and I have created that code based on my project which I am working in the company, but that didn't get approved by the clients because they don't want automation for invoices because they can't take risk.
Mhm.
So that is what happened.
Mhm.
And in that particular project for Postman, I have just used I have just taken the API to connect to the particular website where I have to go and check the details for the invoices to get to launch it. So that is
Mhm. All right, true. Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay. So in your CV, you have also mentioned that you have tested the possibilities of system failure with UAT.
yes.
Right? So can you elaborate on this point? What actually was your role?
My role is to test the particular application which the developer develops in the development environment as well as the SIT and UAT. We'll test in each and every environment, and in UAT particularly, we'll just do the sanity testing where we will test the end-to-end functionality working fine or not, and major functionalities which we shouldn't miss, whether they are working fine or not. And then we will give it to the stakeholders, and we'll get in contact with the stakeholders to check to get them in so that they can also test it, and they can check whether more possibilities and scenarios which they are having in their mind, and they'll give us the defects if there are any in the UAT, and so that we can work on the defects to solve them.
Right, right. Okay, now can you give me few of the UI test scenarios for Google search functionality? So let's say you open a Google Chrome browser in your laptop or in your PC, and you have got that Google search functionality, right? That feature. So can you tell me the UI test cases for Google search?
UI test cases. So first of all, we have to UI in the sense we can take the Chrome application also, right? A Chrome browser application.
Right, it is open in Google Chrome browser, and
Yes.
search bar
So
basically. Hmm,
first we have to check whether the search box is enabled or not.
hmm,
The place where you input, like user is able to give the input, type the text which they want or not.
hmm,
And we have to check whether they can give the data in a mixed alphanumerical way. The search may be of alphanumerical way or not.
hmm,
Next thing, the search button, like search symbol, is enabled or not. First giving input and then clicking on the search button, whether that is enabled or not. After that, what we have to keep in mind is whether the search results which are displayed are relevant to the search data. Like if the user is searching for Apple, and is the Apple data displayed in the Chrome browser or some other thing, so related search is coming or not. After that, if the search is, some search results are coming, those are related, but the links which are produced there in the Chrome browser are clickable or not, like they are enabled or not, or they are usable or not. After that is the test cases.
Mm-hmm. Any other test scenarios that you would like to add?
So we can keep the negative scenarios also, like uh, if there is negative scenarios in the sense whether if the data which is not like long data giving like is the limit very big letter, and if that is understandable by the Chrome browser or not, and
Okay,
if that is displayed or
more
not.
number of data you will type into the that search bar basically.
Yes.
I was thinking whether you will inject, you'll do some SQL injection or some that kind of aspect on that lines. I was thinking. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
That's it.
Okay. So apart from this, the very first and the foremost test scenario that you can add into this answer is verify that the Google logo is present and it is center aligned. Okay. So if you
Okay.
have seen that Google search, search bar. So in that, at the very middle itself, it is written Google, GOOG.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that entire thing and the logo is there. So that is present and it should be center aligned. It should not be way up or way down or at the top right or top left, bottom right, bottom left. So like this, it should
Oh,
be present and it should be center aligned. So this is the first and the foremost test scenario that will make sure that the interviewer will select you for sure on the basis of this answer.
oh,
They are going to take the decision. Then test cases that you added about the search box and then whether they are being redirected to the proper page, that is also fine. That those were good test cases. Then in the search result web page, so when the search is completed, at that time the result web page is getting opened. In that, all the title along with the URL if it is there, and with the some sort of description also should be there. Let's say you are taking an example of Apple, so some sort of description also should be there about the apple color or what kind of fruit it is, like that. Or let's say if you are thinking for Apple devices, then those kind of search. So some kind of URL or description should be there so that user can further take the decision based on the results that are getting generated. Then you can also take the performance testing issue, verify the time taken to fetch the result. It should not be so
oh,
long. It should not take 30 minutes. It should not, the browser should not move on and on. It should take you to the within, I think, 2 or 3 seconds. It depends on the internet speed. It should
oh,
be over there. And in the UI test cases, the total number of results you can also take for the keyword that is displayed. Then if there are any links, then the user should be allowed to click on that link and it should be allowed to move to that particular web page. So these are the things. And then yes, the pagination is there. So let's say if the number of results are more, let's say you are searching for some uh, latest update in the testing and those results are very more, so there should be pagination also involved in that. Like let's say if you have first page, second page, up to 10 or up to 20 pages, so those kind of pagination should be there. Okay, so this was about the Google search functionality or the feature, you can say. Okay, so this is fine. Now go through your CV. Okay, now how will you handle the rejected defects with the development team?
rejected defects in the development team. Like developer is not convinced with my defect that I raised. So first of all, if when I raise a defect and that goes to the developer, if he is not convinced, I would share my screen or I would explain him what exactly is the defect which I raised, and I would try to tell him, give him the screenshots like this is the difference and this is the difference. That is why I have raised a defect. And if he is not at all accepting after the discussion between us and he's not convinced, we'll have a talk with the business analyst first. And if he tries to explain what is the problem, and if he accepts it as a defect, and if he convinces, he might take a chance of convincing the developer, explaining him what exactly is this. If that might be a blocker issue or a non-blocker issue also. So they will decide it the priority, or should that be fixed now or later on in the development stages.
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, log files also play a good, role
Yes.
over here in helping a tester. Even if you are not able to reproduce that defect, so you can share those log files with the development team. They will, or you can also keep the log files in the debug mode. Then automatically the exceptions which are there, those you will be able to catch in the log files itself. So you don't need to convince them. Just share the log files, and the log file will do the needful.
Okay.
Yeah, okay then. Then have you worked on Git?
No.
So what is Git?
Git is a Git is a platform or a software which helps us to store the codes, and it acts like a repository to store the files and the codes which we have developed
Mhm,
to test our, like it may be the code for automation or the software code. We can have it in stored in one repository, and we can uh, push them to get into the uh, runners where we run the automation test cases.
mhm. Okay. And do you know anything about Jenkins?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay, fine. Can you give me an example of a defect with low severity and high priority?
Low severity and high priority. Uh, it may be like if the client's requirement is there, it's not affecting the client's requirement, but that should, as soon as we open an application, that is the one which is visible.
Mhm,
It might be of that kind. For example, uh, if we take one e-commerce website and the name of the e-commerce website is wrong, like if Flipkart name is wrong in the logo,
mhm,
as soon as we open the Flipkart, that is of high severity and low priority, because that is not affecting any business.
mhm, mhm. Right. Now, you were telling in your introduction that you are using Jira as a test management tool,
Yes.
right? So what is cloning? Let's say if I have to clone an issue in Jira, what is that
Hmm.
cloning called, or what would happen if I clone anything in Jira?
uh, we can clone, like actually we can clone a defect with a story,
Mhm,
or we can clone a story with a change request with which our users will give us. So what cloning is like, we can see all the things at a place. Like if we open a story in Jira, if we want to see all the related defects or change requests with the clients give, we can see that at the bottom, like clone, we can have each and every data of one particular user story at one place. So cloning is used in that way.
right. So basically, you are duplicating some kind of a card. For example, if you want to clone some particular test case, and if you want to add them to the different test cycle, so you can do that, right? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So that thing you can do. Okay. Now, are you using any color indicators in Jira? Blue,
No.
orange, green, or any such kind of color indicators? Are you using them in Jira?
Yes, actually, those color indicators we won't change as a QA engineers, but
Mhm,
our managers would use those color indications. Mostly, we use blue, green, and orange.
mhm,
The and red we use. These four color indications are used by our managers, and I am not sure, but I have some idea of those. Green is the thing where there's no problem with a particular user story, or that is clean without any defect or anything. Orange is like it's on hold type of thing where uh, there is a non-blocker issue or a CR that is to be implemented on that particular user story and which is incomplete type of thing. Blue is like it is in progress state for type of thing, like which is not completed but not having any defects. Red is like it's almost it have so many non-blocker issues, or it we can take it as like rejected or something which we have to work on more. If it is in red, that is of high priority, or it might be having so many non-blocker defects which we have to work on.
Okay. Okay, so Parvati, I'm done with the interview questions. And do you have any questions for me?
Uh, yes, sir. Actually, I mostly work on manual testing things like, but we work on a platform which is automation type of thing. We get all the work which is manually done by the clients, and we have to automate it. What happens is like developer develops the code, and he asks QA to do it in the development environment, something like smoke testing that we do in the development environment, and check for the defects before it is ready for testing or not.
Mhm.
So what happens is we are not aware of any code or what is happening. We use Jenkins, like developers use Jenkins. They push the code, they deploy the code, everything, but we are not aware of anything. So now I am actually looking forward to have a full automation role.
Mhm.
So which parts can I work? Like I have previously worked on keyword driven thing, but I am not there. Even I am not aware of how to push the code or anything. Like everything is already existing. I have to just go and tinker the things what I wanted, and I would edit that exactly like that, and I would give it to my leads, and they used to take them forward. So here only writing the test case is my part. How can I crack a full automation role interview? Which parts should I work on?
Mhm. Okay. So first of all, two things over here we have to do. Identify the knowledge that you can get from your team members. Let's say if someone is working in the development and you know them very well, you have created a good fit with them, they are okay to share the knowledge with you. So get those knowledge in-house, which you are getting within your project or within your company. Okay. You can sit with them on maybe Friday or Saturday, Sunday might not be working. So on Friday evening, when some people are not that much, heavily workload is there. So you can spend time with them. Okay. You will have to identify what all things you will learn from them from the automation perspective. Let's say if they are using Jenkins, so it is good thing for you. These Jenkins is in very demanding these days in the market for CI/CD thing, right? So you learn that Jenkins thing from them. Okay, then you might be having some automation team in your company or in some other project. So take their project, download it into your laptop, and open it into the Eclipse or IntelliJ, whichever IDE you are comfortable with, and um, try to understand by yourself first what are all the various pages or various classes functions created within the automation itself. Once you are able to understand from your side, let's say 20%, 30%, then you approach to that automation person, like, see, this is what the automation framework I have downloaded from your Git URL. Now, can you tell me what all things you have done and why you have kept those pieces over there? So you need to connect the dots, connect your dots. Earlier, 20 to 30% you have learned. Now, when you are approaching them, they'll help you with more knowledge. So now your understanding would be around about 60 to 70%. Okay. And when it comes to framework, so keyword driven framework is there, data driven is there, page object model is there. So for these things, you will get number of videos on the YouTube itself. Okay. You just have to search and you will get number of results on the YouTube itself. So these framework things, knowledge you will get online, some knowledge you will get it from the company. Jenkins knowledge you can take from the development team. Then for automation, this automation team is using Git or they are using Bitbucket. So those again would be used in your company. So that also knowledge you will get. And those are open source tools. Again, you can download it in your machine. You can work. You can just start from with a simple text file. Okay, write your name in a text file. Check in that text file into the Git URL. Now check out, modify the file. All those crude operations, create, rename, update, delete, you can do and you can practice by yourself. It is not a rocket science. It is very simple. Git, Bitbucket, these two tools are basically used for version controlling and automation. Okay, so Selenium you have mastered, Jenkins you have mastered, version control tools you are available, you are familiar with. Then the framework knowledge that you will get from the YouTube videos, or let's say you are telling about the Postman thing that you have learned and you have tried to implement it by yourself. So those framework knowledge you can try to implement it in your personal laptop. Okay, any website you can take. You can start with a facebook.com, you can start with gmail.com, or you can go with amazon.com also. Because I'm not telling you to start with amazon.com because there are many controls over there. You'll get radio button, you'll get checkbox, and again there will be some ajax pop-ups will be coming up over there. So at the beginning level you should not start, but yes, gradually after 6 months, 1 year, once you are comfortable with the normal Selenium code that is required, then you can target that particular thing. And this is what you can do is you can make a plan. You can take one tool every time, one stage you can clear, and then you can reach up to the level where you would be uh, cracking the automation tester interview. Like that.
So can you rate me, like, if I have an automation interview in this month, if I apply for anything, can I have any chance of 50 to 60% to answer their questions related to keyword driven or something?
Yeah, definitely. So 50 to 60% you would be able to answer. See, when you will search about these frameworks, data driven framework or page object model. So at that time, also keep in mind what is the difference between the two frameworks. Why in particular projects page object model would be useful? Why in particular projects data driven would be useful? What are the pros and cons of using these frameworks? So those comparison kind of thing you make. Let's say if I want to purchase a vehicle and it's an Activa. So again, which are all the other vehicles available in the market? I'll also do the analysis on Jupiter, one kind of, then one kind of analysis on other scooters which are available in the same model, or I'll do analysis on the bikes, right? Other two-wheeler options that I have, right? So you have to analyze other options and then you have to talk, okay, no, over here this would be useful, over here this would be useful. These are all the things that would be helpful to you. And then these things would be asked to you in an interview with some other twisted question. Okay, why did you went for this framework? What was the reason behind it? So over there you can tell I went for this particular framework because these are the pros and cons. Over here, this framework cannot be implemented because of XYZ reason, like that, right? So
Sir, how is the knowledge on TestNG and Maven important? Like, should we have knowledge on both TestNG and Maven? And if I am only relying on keyword driven framework, if I am getting a knowledge on keyword driven framework alone, TestNG is not needed
no,
mostly.
TestNG is
Yeah.
there, Maven is there, pom.xml. These are all very essential things for creating automation framework. Let's say tomorrow in your career, you get an opportunity for creating an automation framework. So these all things you should know. Even if you don't get an opportunity to create a framework from scratch, but then somehow you will be given an opportunity to contribute in the existing framework. So then if the existing framework they have implemented TestNG, then what you will do? So TestNG is very easy. You can learn that thing in within 1 week or 10 days itself. You can practice also in that particular way. Just spend 1 hour every day on yourself. Things would be very, they'll go as per your expectations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, Parvati. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye, sir. Thanks for having your time.
Same here. Thank you so much for approaching us for the mock interview. And please do share our YouTube channel's link with all your friends, all your network, whichever WhatsApp groups you know. Okay. and please do share it.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.